Hi, everyone. Thanks for being here today. I'm Carrie Friedberg, the SF Money Coach. I am a holistic money coach, financial behavior specialist, and financial literacy educator. I recently launched a do-it-yourself personal finance 101 course with 25 mini lessons on the practical and emotional sides of money, which comes with a membership site where you can learn, practice, connect, and receive support for an entire year. You can read all of the details at sfmoneycoach.com/membership. Today, my dear friend, client, and colleague, master facilitator Gibrán Rivera is joining us. Gibrán and I first met when he hired me as a money coach back in 2017. Shout out to some of our favorite people for introducing us, Tim and Aaliyah. Gibrán, thank you for being here.
I was so honored when you reached out. I love what you do, and I love continuing to be in relationship with you.
Yay, perfect. So we're so lucky to have Gibrán here. He is a teacher, guide, and master facilitator. He's also a coach. He works to develop leaders and powerful networks of leaders. He builds the skills we need in times defined by VUCA, volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity.
That's right.
He is the originator of the Evolutionary Leadership Workshop. He's the host of the Better Men Project and one of the teachers of What Should White People Do? His work brings close attention to dynamics of power, equity, and inclusion. He's designed and facilitated the coming together of some of the most prestigious fellowships in the country and specializes in transformational off-site retreats. His work is based on the understanding that our next evolutionary leap depends on trust and the currency of love. He's devoting his life to defining better ways of being together in this world. And he's joined me today to talk about the art of accountability. Should be a topic. Yeah. So Gibrán, to get started, would you share a little bit with us about your background and family history around money?
Yeah, absolutely. We didn't talk much about money in my family. We didn't have a whole lot of money in my family. My father had a good job, a good company job. I grew up in Puerto Rico. My father's father was in the armed forces, which meant a couple of things that I think are relevant. One is my father spent some time in army bases in Germany and in Washington State when he was young enough to learn English. So my father speaks English with less of an accent than I do.
Mm-hmm.
And when you are born a colonial subject in an island under the power of the United States, knowing English is an advantage that it helps you get a good job. And maybe interesting to say, my grandfather came from poverty and from the countryside, and being in the army for more than 20 years actually meant that when he retired, he could get a federal job, which means he could get paid a federal level money in the United States Post Office. So the kind of trajectory of money in the family was like, now I work, now I can get paid by the American government, right? Like, so
Right.
the post office thing was like literally like a leap in the family, and put him above his siblings in a way that he could help take care of them as time passed. So that's just a little bit of my grandfather's side. It also allowed my father to become a technician in what was then Digital Equipment Corporation.
Mm-hmm.
And it allowed him to transfer to Western Massachusetts when I was 12 years old. So those were the kind of we were better off than most people in our community, but our community was not very well off at all. So that's a little bit of my story.
Okay, thank you for that. Yes.
Yeah.
And when you were young, like under 10, do you have a first money memory or experience of money that you could share?
That is a great question. I think if I haven't thought about that, but I feel like what the first memory that comes to mind goes back to the same grandfather, giving us I don't know, maybe $1 or a couple of dollars after he saw, after like when we would leave a visit or when he would come to visit us. We lived about 2 hours away, which is as far away as you can be in an island like the size of Puerto Rico. And
Right.
so when we would see him, he would hand over dollars. And
Oh,
he actually did that. He sent dollars to us all the way until we reached until we were 18. Part of his Christmas gift included actual cash dollars.
oh, wow.
Yeah,
Interesting. Yeah. I'm
yeah,
sure you remember like the texture and the smell and like
totally.
receiving love and connection in that way from that man in particular. And very interesting.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And Carrie, I started working pretty young. So, but I was working in Western Massachusetts picking tobacco,
Mhm.
actually, at the age of 12.
Okay.
So, meaning getting up at 5 a.m. to be at the field by 6, to work as a child along with like Jamaican migrant workers. So since I was 12 until now, I've always had jobs.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. At least one job. I mean,
Exactly. Exactly.
yeah. Okay. And so from the tobacco fields to master facilitator and
Uh-huh.
someone who is sought out all over the world now for your wisdom and experience and leadership skills. Tell us about that journey. How did you get here?
That's a thank you for the question. I'm gonna answer it maybe. I'll answer it quickly, but in terms of jobs and see if that works. So tobacco fields. Then when I was 16, I could work at like Friendly's ice cream. If you're from the
Well, I
East Coast,
remember.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I became an ice cream scooper. Not never quite the server, but like an ice cream scooper, dishwasher. And something interesting happened is I got into a program called Inroads right before I went to college. And Inroads was a program to help uh, kids of color or young people of color and learn about the corporate sector. So because it wasn't in our family system. So it was like, this is like your tie should come this far. These are the colors of suits. This is
Right.
actually what you do with the bread at lunch. You don't cut it with it, like all those details, right? They
Yeah.
would drill us. We would like check, like, it was like just drills, like to be early is to be on time. To be on time is to be late. To be late is unacceptable. Like giving us all these skills to actually find a way. Because one thing is to get the job, the other one is to understand the culture. And
Yes.
so that was a big transition. And I thought for a while that I would do that I was getting trained to be in business, but I was politicized. Relatively young. Out of the experience of being a minority, being a person of color, that really kind of wanting to contend with that politicized me. And I was involved in organizing and activism during college and after college. Became very involved in Boston's local politics,
Yeah.
um, and all kinds of activity that way, all the way to running for office myself.
Oh,
Actually, I
that's
ran for
right.
Boston City Council
Hmm.
back in 2005. And interestingly, in 2006, I had one of these life experiences that include kind of one of the Brené Brown will call it like a breakdown breakthrough. Like life fell apart. I somehow managed to blow up my whole life. Everything fell apart. And in that falling apart, I had a very potent spiritual awakening. And I think what that led me to was like still being concerned with making the world more just, but moving away from like a purely antagonistic stance
Right.
to a stand that was more concerned with both bringing people together, which is where the facilitation comes in, and actually what it takes to really align with who you are and who you're meant to be, with the integrity of yourself, so that you can be in better relationship with others. So that's been the general arc, and I've been facilitating for at least 15 years. I think since the pandemic, because you read I specialize in the offsite retreat. Well, there
Yeah.
hasn't been offsite retreats in the
Right.
last couple of years, so that has really redefined my work, and I've cherished it. I'm cherishing what I'm doing quite a bit. I'm doing a lot more individual coaching, and even some deeper healing work.
Mhm.
That's some of the work I've been doing now, and I'm loving it.
That's so great. I'm so glad you've stayed in business and you've been able to be creative and come up with different offerings. And are you planning any offsite retreats this year? Is it like happening again?
There have been a couple of inquiries
Mhm.
that I'm considering, and I think come the fall, I might do a kind of an exclusive invitational one for some people that I'm already in relationship and have been doing work with.
I see. Yeah.
Yeah, I think part
Okay.
of what I'm trying to do is make it so that by the time people get to the offsite, I've done some work with them already.
Mhm.
That way we can just kind of get that much farther when we're all together.
Oh, okay. Of course. That would be amazing. And your story took me back, by the way, to my first job, which was babysitting. It was just like natural mother's helper, I think age 9, and then
Wow.
maybe supervising kids alone, like adults not in the house by 12, which is like youngish, but you're ready. And that was job number one. But then my first paid job, like at an organization where I needed to be trained in a different way than in someone's home, was serving breakfast to the parishioners at my family's church. And it's a
Okay.
job I inherited from my older sister. So it was passed down to me. But yeah, all the challenges and excitement with like getting paid for work and
Yeah.
spending all the money on CDs and cigarettes at the time. I mean, that money, I did not hold on to it at all.
That's
It was
all
gone the same day. Yeah. Um,
right. My first expense from the tobacco work was to get a ticket to go back to Puerto Rico because I missed it so much.
yeah.
I paid for my own ticket back, and I flew on a plane by myself, and my grandparents received me, and it was just like I just wanted to be back. It was kind of longing so much for my friends.
Wow, I bet. Oh, and you're also making me think of my mom with early is on time is late, and late is unacceptable. That was one of our major family mantras. I mean, impossible to do perfectly for a
Right.
lifetime, obviously, but my daughter asked me, like, where does this come from, mom? Like, 'cause she kind of teases me about it.
Right.
So are we going to be on time? I'm like, yeah. She's like, that's the way you like it, right? It's just, it's like now I'm passing it on, I guess.
That's good.
Um,
That's good.
yeah. So let's talk about accountability. Will you
Mhm.
share with me your personal and professional observations? What comes up for people around doing what they want to do, doing what they say they're going to do, doing what's good or healthy for them? In other words, what do we need to be accountable?
Right. This is such an important question. I have a sticky in my fridge, um, which is a relatively new one, um, because it's a lesson I've kind of really come to quite recently, but I think it ties back to all this accountability work. The sticky has in my own handwriting, it says, it's not about willpower. And that's really hard for us to, it's kind of a countercultural argument. And I think willpower matters, but I think it's a fuel that has a lot of limitations, right? Like
Right.
and so one way to think about it is I think about a model that I learned from my mentor. My mentor's name is Robert Gass, and he had this model called the wheel of change.
Mhm.
And the wheel of change has 3 spokes. And the first spoke is hearts and minds, right? So for the change to happen, you gotta want it to happen. Like you gotta be convinced that you want it to happen. You want to be convinced that you want to get rid of money fog, that you want to have mastery over your money, that you want to be a good steward over your resources, right? Like you actually have to want that, right? It can be forced upon you. So the heart and mind have to be persuaded. So I often give the example, if I go to a yoga retreat, during that yoga retreat, I am persuaded that I want to be a yogi. I know I feel good when I'm on yoga. I know I feel aligned. I breathe better. I'm in my body. Nobody has to convince me I am down, right? But
Right.
that's only one spoke of the wheel. Okay. The other spoke of the wheel is behaviors and practices, right? Like, what are the things that I'm actually doing? And I often say, these are things that if an alien comes in from outer space and they see your behavior, they can't read your heart and mind. They have to see what you're actually doing. They know what you're about, right? And
Right.
oftentimes I say, if this alien comes and they see literally like the lunch I just had and the like unconscious way in which I just ate it, it wasn't aligned with this heart and mind desire to be more of a yogi, right? Like there wasn't there, it didn't go together, right? And here's what's important. This gets to your point, to the question that you're asking. What happens in our hyper individualistic culture, and I bet you a lot of your listeners and clients are going to resonate with this, is what happens when you fail at doing what your heart and mind said is you go on to blame yourself.
Right.
Right? You consider it like a personal failure. It becomes this point of shame. You can't make the change. You can never do it, right? You start to beat yourself up, ignoring the fact that you live in a culture and a system that is violently opposed to your being a yogi.
Right.
That is violently opposed to you stewarding your money, right? It wants you to spend your money. It wants you to like get more and more credit. It wants you to believe that more stuff is going to make you happy. Like whatever that thing is, like the culture is against it.
Right.
And you exist inside of the culture. So you have this behemoth of a system, right? And then you have your singular willpower and you're blaming yourself for failing. So when I think about accountability, I think about the system and the structure that we need to build in order to shift the behaviors and practices that our heart and mind want. Right. So that's how that's the spoke of the wheel in which accountability falls. Like we need to do this thing together.
Okay.
We can't do it alone.
So wait, did I miss the third spoke though?
Yeah, the third spoke is systems and structures.
Okay.
So that's the accountability, right? So it's hearts and minds, what you desire, the behavior and the practice. But the behavior and the practice, you try to do it alone. That's where you're deceiving yourself. That's where the culture is deceiving you. That's where you get stuck in shame, right?
Yeah.
But the system and the structure is what you build so that you can be accountable. It can be the relationship with the coach, right?
Right.
It can be the relationship with the group of people that are on the journey with you.
I see. Okay. Yes. Or any kind of confidant, like everyone that wants financial wellness or to expand financial consciousness needs one other. It only takes one to share, update, process, talk to, have accountability with, celebrate successes, receive back rubbing or other kinds of support for breakdowns. And it can be free. Those people are available if they can be trusted with your whole truth around money, or insert any other value or projects, etc. Okay, you're really making me think, because I have been leading with willpower really strongly and pretty successfully for a long time. Like willpower has gotten me a lot of things. It allowed me to play college tennis. It allowed me to move to California where no one in my family had ever lived before. It allowed me to travel in Asia alone for 6 months. Like a lot of things.
Congratulations.
But I understand like what you're saying. It's just like rearranging my molecules. And I appreciate the kind of holistic approach. And okay, I'm gonna have to contemplate, meditate on that. Go for a walk after this and think.
Right. Well, Carrie, I'm sure that you don't have to tell us now, but I'm sure that you in your mind can identify the willpower will help you. Willpower has helped me immensely, and it still does, right? Yeah. It's not that it's bad, it's that when you come right up against those thresholds where your very psyche, right, starts like a part of yourself freezes, that's it, right? That's what you need, right? It's like it can help you with a bunch of things until you get to the threshold. Right. The threshold thing, which is where your developmental growth happens at that threshold.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, I confess that I am sporadic with actual money dates and conversations about money with my husband. And we have one tonight because we're at the threshold, let me tell you.
Good luck. Good luck.
Thank you. Yeah, it's just the list of deep topics, that we really need to connect and make significant decisions around is long now. So, oh my goodness. Okay, so let's talk about financial wellness. I mean, you dabbled with an actual financial accountability circle. We don't have to get into that. That was a solution that you created for yourself.
Mhm.
You had the heart and mind piece in place. You were attempting the behaviors and practices. You've done them in the past. You wanted to refresh. Life circumstances have changed, so different energy, different year, different primary relationships in your life, and you wanted the systems and structures, so you invited a group of people to commit and have a container and go on this journey with you. I
Right.
mean, did it work?
Uh,
And what's next?
That's a great question. Thank you for asking. I'm gonna answer it sideways for a second to say that on Friday, we will close a process called Boost Your Practice. Boost Your
Mhm.
Practice. And we launched, it's about the third time we do it, I think. We launched it at the beginning of the year. It doesn't have to do with money, but people sign up
Yes.
to do 5 things. They gotta wake up by 6 a.m.
Mhm.
They have to do some form of exercise. We don't tell them what, they just have to do something for their body. Some form of mindfulness. We don't tell them which kind, but some of that something. They have to do some form of conscious eating. Again, you don't have to, not a specific diet, but like
Yeah.
some, and some form of like 45 minutes to an hour of creative work, which could be your job, but it's like you're not reacting, you're actually generating, right?
Right.
And so I say this to you because that's one of the models that has worked best, because what we do for that one is people have teams,
Oh.
right? And so you have teams of 4, right?
Mhm.
And if one of you doesn't do a practice, your whole team loses a point,
Okay.
right? So like the kind of social pressure, right, to like keep lifting up your team is a very powerful motivator. So I just wanted to like name that, even though you didn't ask directly
No,
about
I
it.
love it. I mean, if someone wanted to tackle money, a group like that would be amazing. Yeah, so no, I totally hear you.
So that's one example of accountability. Another example is today is the birthday of a man who has been pivotal in my own journey of sobriety, of abstention from alcohol and marijuana, which have been very powerful forces in my life.
Mhm.
And like he was a newspaper writer, he's an opinion piece writer, he wrote about it publicly. And when I needed help, I knew who to talk to. And
Yeah.
like, so that kind of other accountability that happens in the 12-step groups is pretty powerful. One of the things that happens there without you having to do all the steps or having a substance issue is you are talking about your stuff, right? And like when it comes to money, you have stuff, you have emotions come up, you have shame come up, you have things about self-worth come up, you have things around your status come up, right? Like
Yeah.
it is so much deeper than
And the
a
bank
set of
account.
steps,
Yeah.
right? And you know this better than I do, right? And so some room for that I think is key. And I think that was a big part of what we are getting to in the financial accountability circle. So
Mhm.
maybe I can say a little bit, a quick arc of our relationship, Carrie, with you
Mhm.
is I was married to my son's mother, and she actually had inherited wealth, and I was making money from my work, and so we wanted to be good stewards of that, and we reached out to you, and you gave us all the right tools, but we didn't have the follow through necessary, right?
Right.
And so then sometime after then I split up with her. We're in a good relationship. I'm in a new relationship. Um, we don't have that kind of inherited wealth, but we do make a good living. Each of us makes a good living. We're bringing our families together. And then I talked to other clients of yours, the stellar clients that you shouted out that are dear friends of mine that introduced me to you, Tim and Aliyah. Like
Yeah.
their success story is so inspiring
Mm-hmm.
that I just reached back out to you. I think by that time I had already been doing Boost Your Practice. And I said, hey, Carrie, this is the problem that I had last time. You gave me all the right answers, but I needed more accountability. How would you feel about partnering with people? If I get a group of people to take your online course,
Mm-hmm.
how could we partner so that then I'll handle the accountability circle, I'll facilitate that space.
Right.
You're already blessing the process, showing up to a couple of calls, but also your material is already out there. And so we walked our way to the material, and we gave ourselves, I think we gave ourselves 3 months,
Yeah.
I believe, and we need more time. We are making progress. The space has turned out to be a lot more emotional than I think any of us signed up for, but in a way that we want more of, right? I think it bears saying, to your credit, Carrie, I think something you should be really proud of is that it's a group of people of color, of successful people of color. We didn't set out to make it an exclusively
Right.
people of color space. That wasn't our goal, but that was kind of our network and the people that said yes. And so
Yes.
you had like very successful people that don't come from money
Right.
or have a different relationship with money in their family systems. And so with all the success in the world, we're still freezing when it comes to like the stewardship of our own resources. And I think we're breaking through. So for me, is continuing with that group, but also my partner and I doing it together, continuing ongoing one-on-one coaching with you. We're trying to do all the things. I think this kind of freedom is attainable,
Yes.
and I want to attain it, and I want to tell people that it is attainable because I've done it.
Right. And now you have a major rite of passage happening with your partner. I saw the email that you bought a house. So it's all perfect timing, and you're going to have new challenges. I mean, because you're expanding your life, like, and that's great. So all of that sounds good, and it's going to happen for you. I really have faith in that. So, when you were talking about accountability, I was hearing discipline in my mind. I mean, what is the same about accountability and discipline, and what's different?
That's great. That's great. It's a really good question, because one of my projects, as you know, is the Better Men Project, right? And the Better Men Project is comes right out of the Me Too movement, right? It's like, okay, what are we gonna do, guys? Come on, like we gotta do something. This is insane what's happening.
Yeah.
And so let's get together and be accountable to our mutual development and growth as men, to actually be better men in the world. Now, why do I bring that up? Because in this culture, accountability can often be misunderstood, can very easily translate to like cancellation, like canceling somebody or disciplining somebody, right? Like punishing somebody, right? As opposed to helping somebody grow, helping somebody develop, helping somebody. So when the kind of accountability I'm talking about is the one that provides support for deep personal transformation, which will need discipline, right? I need to have the discipline. I need to be completely clear that I personally, and this is not true for everybody, that I personally can't take one hit of a joint. I can't do it.
Right.
Or I can have one drink. Other people can. I can't, right? Because once I do that, something in me happens and I just keep going, right? And so that takes discipline, right? That's a choice I got to make over and over again.
Yeah.
But I don't get to it because I'm afraid of being punished, right? I get there because I have a support structure of others who share a similar struggle. Similarly with the Better Men Project, men who are actually trying to show up better. So we really make it like we say, in this space here, we are not welcoming what I refer to as like the tropes of performative wokeness. This is not what we're doing here, right? What we're doing here is being vulnerable enough to be able to show where we're coming up short, right? And see why that is happening, and then see how we can shore each other up.
Okay, got
Yeah.
it. You know, it makes me think that maybe a fourth spoke. I'm not encroaching on your mentor's thought design, but spirituality and
Yeah.
self-care
Yeah.
is maybe assumed, but totally essential for the Better Men Project, for anyone seeking financial wellness or expansion in any area of their life, health, relationships, work. And I just think that you also mentioned, Gibrán, that it's emotional work. I mean, life is hard, and it's like, and the political climate and the environment and the climate crisis, and there's so much out there, and like technology is growing, it's outpacing evolution, and like so there's this huge gap, and there's a lot of suffering with the gap, and yes, you know, wonderful amazing things that come out of technology, like this phone call with you in the Midwest and me on the West Coast, but I just want to emphasize that any kind of personal transformation and desire for meaningful, sustainable change needs some spiritual resources, whether people believe in God or the earth or the universe or the doorknob, it doesn't matter. But yeah, and what comes with that is care of self, and you know, managing the temple appropriately with like sleep and water and food and exercise and daylight and activity. So
Carrie, I cannot thank you enough for lifting that, for adding the spoke. That is exactly right. I mean, I think that is certainly the defining anchor of my own life, right? Like
right,
everything else follows that. And both in my own life and in the work that I try to do with others, it really is about that that waking up to the true self, right? To the spirit within that wants to be embodied as a liberated being that is capable of compassion, kindness, and generosity, and
yes,
the kind of, you know this as well as I do. People can have their money completely straight and be completely miserable people and do damage in the world, right? And so I think what you're talking about is by far the most important thing. And I will add, because it says self-care, it's like, it is true, like from the hydration to the sleep to the how we eat to the meditation, 100%. And it is always good to name that we live under what Professor John Powell calls the European Enlightenment Project of the Isolated Self. The European Enlightenment Project of the Isolated Self. So for the last 400 or 500 years, under like the domination of that mindset, we keep thinking, we go back to that spoke of the wheel where I am individually responsible
yeah,
for everything, and my self-care is very individual. And when I'm talking about accountability circles, I'm talking about support. I'm
right,
talking about us turning towards each other. I'm talking
yes.
about being together. I'm talking about the power that happens when we are in community. And I think that needs to be included, right? Like spiritual work, personal development work, it's defined by how much of it we do together, as opposed
You're
to by ourselves.
you're totally right about that. It's like this, it's like the redwood trees that have this underground network of support. Like, how do they grow so big and tall? Well, they all hold each other up. I mean, it's the way nature works, and it's exactly what you've created with your what is it called? The boost Reboot.
booster practice,
Yeah.
and the
Uh,
financial accountability circle. That's all is also there,
yes. And you've it taps on my athlete's brain, like it's a game, there are points, like we can win. Are you a former athlete as well?
I wish I was. I'm not. I'm not.
Okay.
But what you're saying makes perfect sense. What was your sport?
Tennis.
All right, then you still play.
I still play, yeah. And I,
Right.
I, I mean, I've never met a sport I didn't love because I love to compete. I mostly love to win, but obviously, being a competitive athlete, there's so much grace and growth that you have to navigate because you can't win all the time. Nobody wins all the time. So
Right,
it for me, starting at like age 6, so I've been playing for 40 years nonstop.
wow.
It was my first place to face myself because I mean, and even yesterday on the court I had a really cranky day. I mean, I was playing women's doubles. I was embarrassed by my own behavior. It wasn't atrocious. I've come a long way, but I was just like, God, snap out of it. It's a beautiful day. Anyway, let's get back to some of these questions. So, how exactly do we grow and evolve?
Mhm, mhm. Beautiful. That's you're asking a question that I am very passionate about. I like to invite people to think back on an earlier stage of their lives, just any earlier stage, and you can picture yourself in some past where you dressed differently, um, you had different concerns, you listened to different music, you had a different social circle, right? That you were just literally a different person, even though you were still Carrie.
Mhm.
So if you saw Carrie coming to that person coming to the room right now, you would recognize her, but she might not recognize you,
Mhm.
right? There's a way in which you have gained some altitude, right? Right? You have it that, but that part that what was essential about her, what she had to learn, has been integrated and included into who you have become, right?
Yeah.
What she had to let go of has been let go of, right?
Right.
And what she learned to bring forward has been integrated and included into who you have become. And inevitably, it came through some hardship, right? Through some challenge, right? Like the
Definitely.
way of being, right? Another way to put it is, it had you, she had you, right? She had you all the way until you hit some wall, right?
Yeah.
And you then had to like figure your way out, usually with the help of others, right? You had to turn to others,
Yes.
whether it was books or other human beings, certainly included tears, right?
Right.
And then in that process, you went from she having you to you having her, right? And so that's how the process worked, to integrate and include what was before. You definitely got to get through the bump. The tears are key, right? The
Right.
humbling matters. The letting go comes, right? The surrender, and then the opening to what is emergent.
Wow. Okay. Yes. I'm having so many visual images while you talk. I'm thinking about college, and who I was and what I valued and music and how I dressed and what I did for extracurriculars and you're right. Like you're right about the process of all of that. It's just interesting to think about in that way. So how do you define self-sovereignty then?
Right. That's a great question, and another one that matters the world to me because that's what I'm focused on. And I will answer it. I'm going to be a little bold and make a comment based on something you said earlier. Because part of what happens when we are in long-term committed relationships, right, is that we need to recognize that even if it's the same person, there are going to be multiple relationships,
Mhm.
right? And so the challenge then is to grow together, right?
Right.
Because both of you are growing. And so you're having this big conversation tonight. And so one of the things that I invite you to just keep somewhere in the back of your head, I don't know anything about your relationship. I don't know anything about your partner. I just know you brought it up and that you have a big money date tonight, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm just, for your listeners know, I'm speaking in abstraction. But I bet, I perceive that part of what is happening is you're taking a developmental leap together. And so some of the agreements that you've been working on there and some of the arrangements and the ways in which you have handled money and life are like, okay, like it's different. I value different things. And so like, how do you integrate and include the best of that relationship into what your relationship is becoming? So advice you didn't ask for, but I think I wanted to give it to you because I think it'll resonate with your listeners. I am so passionate about committed relationships. You know?
Yeah. No, I'm taking that in.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is where we grow the most. So what is self-sovereignty? Well, again, I'm not sure what's coming your way today, but you'll need it. We call it your capacity to bring yourself back to coherence when you're triggered, right?
Oh.
All of us are going to be triggered. Whatever
Yeah.
was happening maybe in the tennis court yesterday, there was some level of triggering, but you said you weren't at your worst. So you have a memory of acting out more, right?
Oh, yeah.
So, right, in the same context, right? It's playing and then something happens and then you act out more, but then you mature, right? And like what is happening when you're out of coherence is the first thing that you're doing is blaming everything around you, right? You want the world to rearrange itself according to your wound, right? According to the feeling that you're having that you don't want to have, right? And so self-sovereignty is my capacity to say, okay, I'm seeing myself doing this, I'm out of balance, right?
Yeah.
How quickly can I bring myself back to coherence?
Got it.
And can I bring myself back to coherence in a way that I can be with someone else, right? Without that someone else's energy negatively impacting my sense of self or my boundary, right? And so like so yeah, that's how I think about it. And I think about that is what I focus on in my coaching work. Like self-sovereign individuals are the individuals that are best able to be in a collective space. And what we need to get out of the mess that you've described that we are in, from the technology to the climate to all the things, is different ways of being together in the world. But in order to be together, we need to be self-sovereign. It's a little bit counterintuitive, right? Like, learn to have yourself so that we can be better together.
I mean, in a way, you're talking about mental health and self-care again. You know, I was just 2 days ago at a women's circle and we were sharing successes from 2021, surprises, hard stuff, and wisdom from last year. It was really great. And I mean, the whole experience, and it was 2 hours long. And I said I had several successes, but one that I shared with the group was staying married. And during the pandemic, both working from home, I mean, an unimaginable number of childcare breakdowns, and that it really, really took every spiritual tool and every leaning on outside resources and friends and nature, and all of my transformational experiences, you know, to take the higher path and to be kind and use the currency of love. And I didn't do it perfectly, and that's not the goal here or in life, but I felt like that I really focused on what's important and dropping it and not taking the bait, you know, just in those heated moments and triggered moments. So I really get what you're saying.
Congratulations. That means the world. I'm so glad you shared that with me and with the listeners. That is so powerful, and it is not an easy thing in our time. It's like the rules. I think our parents and grandparents they had a terrible structure, an unfair structure, a structure that certainly wasn't good for women, but they had a structure, right? We are having to figure this thing out, and it's not easy. It's
Yeah.
not easy. And like the failure rates are high.
Yeah.
And so I'm just really, truly congratulating you, and I'm really moved that you chose to share that with us.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you came up with a concept I'm so curious about. It's called the birth of a new we. What is that?
Yeah. Thank you for asking. And it's I would like to say I'm part of what I think of as zeitgeist of people that seem to be coming to the same conclusion, in different ways. So I don't want to lay claim to that. But as a facilitator, how do I say? When I left Puerto Rico, which was a life-shaping experience, I felt like I was losing my friends. And what that did for me is I centered friendship as the most important thing. And I tell people that if I was to ever start a church, it would be called the Church of Co-Evolution through Friendship, right? And so my facilitation work really is about laying the groundwork for people to build relationships with each other that are going to literally redefine their lives, right? So this power of what happens when people come together, this is probably why I'm as passionate about the couple, right?
Yes.
And so beyond the couple is those close peers and friends that are going to be with you on this journey of evolution, right? Co-evolution,
Right.
through friendship. And so the way I think about the birth of a new we is this. Let's say that humans have been around for, let's say, 200,000 years, meaning this kind of, but for most of the time, we're just kind of this fancy ape, right? Like something happens 70,000 years ago, right? So we've been humans.
Right.
70,000 years ago, we start to see signs of culture, signs of art. So prior to that, we've been this animal that looks a little bit like us,
Right.
But then this cultural leap happens, right? And to me, right, we need to pay attention to that. That is like, what is culture? It's like this idea that we are reflecting on ourselves, right? We're starting to try to answer the question, who are we?
Right.
How did we get here? Why are we here? Like these questions that, as far as we understand, other animals are not asking, right? And so why do I talk about that? Because I keep using this evolutionary framework. And so many things happen between now and then, as you know, 70,000 years of things, and all the way to this kind of European Enlightenment project of the isolated self, where like 500 years ago, through European domination, we start to become hyper-individuated, right? And so we end up with this culture that we're in right now, where the most affluent societies that the world has ever seen, ever, right? Western society, affluent in terms of money and wealth, right? And safety and all of these things, actually happen to be the most depressed, the most anxious, right? The most kind of sick because of the food that we eat. Like it's counter, right? And so what I'm trying to get to is that that's because we have lost our capacity to be a we now. I'm not proposing that we return to a we of the past, right? The we of the past is a we in which the individual can be lost, right? And example, any cult, right? Any cult or the political ideological extremes of today, right? Like on either side, right? Like it's like what matters is that you belong to this ideology, and if you don't conform to it, then you will be exiled, right? And so that's not what we want. We want a new we, where the sovereign individual can be fully expressed, but knows how to be with others in a way that is getting us out of the mess that we have made, right? And so to me, the birth of a new we is this thing that nurtures my own development, that allows me to give, love, care, be compassionate, be kind in a way that lifts me and the other, and creates the conditions for us to solve problems that right now have proven unsolvable to the very risk of an existential risk to the species.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. You asked.
Amen. I was trying to listen, and then I was thinking, oh my God, he's describing my life, because I live in a multi-generational home. And so there's a way I've broken the norm, certainly in my neighborhood, and maybe all of Silicon Valley and the entire peninsula. And I feel conflicted about it. I feel conflicted about, am I doing the right thing for myself and my soul, as well as my core family unit, my husband and 2 kids. And then I feel like overwhelmed with, I am doing the right thing. This is how people are supposed to live. We had 2 elders, now 1 in the house, and we it's imperative to take care of this person. And there's conflict there. It's my mother-in-law. It's not necessarily a natural relationship, and this is my work right now. But
well, blessings to you on that. That is not easy. We can talk about this in a couple of years. This house that Tuesday and I bought,
yes,
has an in-law apartment, right?
Mm-hmm.
And her mother will be living with us. She'll be living in the same house. That she'll have her own little unit, which might create more separation. I don't know how much of it you have right now, but yeah, this is it, and it's not easy. It's not, when nobody said it's easy, right?
Right.
But what do we get?
I know.
What do we get in that process?
It's overwhelming, the
Right.
receiving, and for sure, on so many levels for us and for me. So it's right for today.
And don't have any shame in questioning it, right? Like, these are important questions to be asking. The health of your family really matters,
Yes. So we're going to wrap up, but I want you to please tell us about your latest projects. And you've mentioned a couple, so you're welcome to reiterate, or what else are you working on?
The one I really want to talk about is the group. I'm about to launch a group coaching cohort, and because of this kind of entire belief system that I've just shared with you, right?
Yeah.
So right now, if you want to coach with me, you get 5 sessions, right? At the end of 5 sessions, we decide whether we're going to do 5 more.
Right.
We are not allowed to do more than that, not without a gap, right?
Yes.
Not like there has to be 3 to 6 months before we do again, because we're aiming to create a kind of tight container for the change we want to create, right?
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be with you. I want to create change that is self-sustained. I want to leave you a self-sovereign individual, right?
Right.
And so that you're not depending on the relationship. So it's 5, and then maybe if we agree, if it's working, if you're doing the work, and if working for you, then we're gonna do 5 more,
Right.
and then that's it. So that's the normal coaching package.
Okay.
What I'm adding, though, and this is about to launch, I invite people to join my newsletter on the website, GibránRivera.com, so that they can be informed. What I'm launching is a group coaching process where you still get the same 5 sessions. No problem. Like, you're still going to get that one-on-one time. But you're also going to get, and it's going to be a part of 4, facilitated group sessions.
Right.
So I will be holding that space.
Yes.
Right. And 5 self-facilitated group sessions that I will give you the format, but the group will start to create its own wings so that it can hold itself, right? The idea is to leave you with relationships that are going to change your life, right? Relationships with other powerful individuals doing big things that you can have deep trust and relationship with. And you have at least one peer-to-peer coaching session with each of those individuals. So it's literally an 18-hour commitment over 10 weeks. It's not small. It's not for the faint of heart, but it is a container for transformation.
And it works. I'm telling you, anyone who is hearing the gift of Gibrán's voice and heart and mind today, do not pass go. Rush to the website. It's spelled with a G, GIBRANRIVERA.com. He also has a podcast and a blog and a show. And there's Boost Your Practice and tons of resources on his website, so definitely check it out. Is there a specific way you like to be contacted? Do you want to say your email address, or is there a contact form?
Yeah, I think the best way is to join the newsletter on the website, and that's just top right-hand corner, says join, sign up.
Perfect.
But if you want to email me directly about a personal outreach of anything, like you have a coaching situation that you want to talk about, get in the list, Gibrán at GibránRivera.com is the easiest way to reach me.
There you go. Okay. Thank you, Gibrán. This was really fun. I so appreciate your time.
It is a blessing. I love being in a relationship with you. Thank you for everything you've done for me, for Tuesday, and everything you'll continue to do. Thank you for what you're doing for the world, Carrie.
Thank you. You as well. Okay. Take care. Talk soon.
Many blessings.
And with that, we're out of time. Thank you so much for tuning in, and please acknowledge yourself for taking the time today to learn, practice, connect, and receive support around money and life. I am Carrie Friedberg, the SF Money Coach. You can contact me and find information about my coaching practice, online course, and financial literacy membership site at sfmoneycoach.com. Please reach out if you have any questions or comments. I would love to hear from you. We'll talk soon. And with that, we're out of time. Thank you again for tuning in, and please acknowledge yourself for taking the time to learn, practice, connect, and receive support around money. I am Carrie Friedberg, the SF Money Coach. You can contact me and find information about my coaching practice, online course, and financial literacy membership site at SF, as in San Francisco, sfmoneycoach.com. Please reach out if you have any questions or comments. I'd love to hear from you. We'll talk soon.